So the key question, right? Because I think most of you have answered the first one by saying yes. Are you intentional about letting your labor produce fruits? Yes. What do we do with those fruits? I wanted to talk about, or I was asked to talk about fruits and just share some thoughts on it, some of the thinking I've had to do about it. I've mentioned it to a couple of people in passing, but I really think it's something that as young people, it's something we really need to think about. We really need to be intentional about it. And I hope that as we go through it, so just as we go through it, that we can actually, like I said, be intentional about it and make sure that we actually leave, I'd say a legacy, for lack of a better word, or we get to enjoy the fruits of the work that we do, right? Because the concept around it is just to say, you know what they say about letting your labor produce fruits. And that's essentially something that I've been thinking about a lot and saying, how do we ensure that we are intentional about letting our labor produce fruits? And then how do we also make sure that we are intentional about seeing continuity through that and ensuring that we don't have one-time events. We don't have to keep repeating the same things over and over again. I mean, this whole week I've been having chats with Judy about how we can ensure that there is continuity, especially around a lot of the conversations that have started here, that just from observing, you realize that this has really impacted people, but we can't wait until December next year to have the conversation again, right? And it's just that, and the first part for me is that just letting our labor produce fruits, right? And it's something I just want to raise awareness and say, in business terms, you say return on investment, right? And the challenge that I want to put forth is that, are you intentional about getting a return on your investment, right? In everything, and not just in terms of just financially, not just in terms of, okay, I need to actually make a monetary invest somewhere in a bank with a calculated risk and all of that stuff. No, I mean in everything, right? If you take the concept of letting your labor produce fruits, a lot of us have had to make sacrifices to come in. Right. So that was your labor, buying the ticket, organizing your transport, reading through many emails from Dudu about what to bring, what not to bring, compiling a whole list and actually coming here. That's your labor, right? Now, being intentional about that type of labor producing fruits is essentially being intentional about what most of us have in our notebooks from the past 4 days, right? We've had conversations about mental health. We've had conversations about investments and financial planning. We've had conversations about career development. We've had conversations about self-care. And again, the question becomes, are you intentional about ensuring that work is producing fruits, right? That you get the fruits of your labor and you get to actually enjoy them, right? But the key thing that I think T really wanted me to talk about, and it's something I really want to talk to you guys about and get some of your thoughts on it, is what we do with those fruits, right? What we do with those fruits, and unpack it again from an investing scenario, if you look at it as that. Because we all know, even if we talk about natural fruits, if you let them sit for a while, they rot. right? If you've got an apple tree, you take care of it, you get some apples, you pick them, you put them in the fruit basket in the house, and you leave them for a couple of weeks. When you come back, they're all yellow and rotten and all of that stuff, right? And that's because you did nothing with those fruits. Right? So the key question, right? Because I think most of you have answered the first one by saying yes. Are you intentional about letting your labor produce fruits? Yes. What do we do with those fruits? And what I've been thinking about is around saying we need, as young people, who, one, are trailblazers in many areas of our lives, right? We're the first in our generations to do a lot of the things that we're doing, right? Most of you, when you go home or when you talk to people about spending money on something like life coaching and going to a personal development camp, you're talking to people who've never had that concept before. They're looking at you like, what the hell, where are you going? Like, just go watch TV or something. I understand. So we're setting a foundation. A lot of us are trailblazers in our rights. And the question then, or the thing that I've been thinking about is essentially saying, now that we have these fruits, we really need to be intentional about ensuring that they leave an impact and we can use them going forward. Or in a nutshell, we need to be intentional about letting our fruits bear fruits. All right. So if you think about it in terms of just an investment, it's we need to be careful not to eat the interest gain. Like when you put away money and you save it and they're like, oh yeah, your money has gained 20 Rand interest. We need to be intentional about reinvesting that 20 Rand and not spending it, especially because we come from a culture or a foundation where that money gets spent, right? And we need to just unpack it with things other than money. And this is where I'm hoping we can have conversations about, because you guys have been here for a week. You've had all these conversations, self-care, all of that stuff. And to say, okay, how do I make sure that what I now know, right? What I now know continues to benefit me, right? What I now can do continues to benefit me. Not trying to not go to school in explaining this. I said to Amo, I remember, I think even Masejo, I said to Amo once, so we were talking to Amo about coming on board and doing a lot of research for us, right? And then I said to her that one of the things that I think you need to be intentional about is that as you do the research for the Coach T brand, as you do the research for Balanced Dynasty, the skills you learn from that, if we're talking about putting your fruits to work, should allow you to at least get your master's in half the time. And the idea behind that is a master's degree is 100% research, right? You can't sign up for a master's 2 years from now and sit in the introductory class on how to conduct research and actually walk out there being like, oh yeah, I learned something. You wasted the last 2 years of being head of research for an upcoming brand. You get where I'm going? Letting the fruits, because you've worked, you did stuff to get to where you are. And then somebody, let's say, if you consider that as the fruit of your labor, to say, okay, cool. For all the stuff that you've done, here's something, here's a reward, here is a job. Understand? You've learned, you've acquired skills, here's a job. The job itself allows you to acquire more skills. Those skills have to be used further down the line in such a way that you don't keep going back to begin. Right? And a lot of us young people, I see a lot of us going through that a lot, right? Going back to begin. Every time you start a new project, you approach it with a blank canvas, even mentally, as if like, nah, I've never done this before. And we're like, you have. I know you have, you know that you have. So can we just try and apply those skills here and let's go forward, right? And it's something that really, like, it's been bothering me a lot to say, how do we get young people to do that? How do we get young people to come to Rise and Grind, be here for 5 days, fill their notebooks with content, right? And actually not have to have the same conversation again next year, right? And I was telling Khola, I think on Wednesday, and I'm like, it's funny for me, like every time I say it, it's really funny for me because choosing this as my line of work means I need you to keep coming back. The only way I make money is if you keep coming back. And now I'm turning around and telling you, if you keep coming back for the same thing, you're wasting money. You're wasting it on me. And I want your money, but I don't want you to waste your money, right? I've had a couple of chats with Lems, and I'm like, the things you keep repeating. If we're being honest, you can't go around and saying I have a life coach. If you're going to spend $1,000 a month on life coaching, there has to be fruits for that. There has to be something to show for that. There has to be progress, right? And this is why I spent the whole year literally just saying, I'm done with hope. I don't want hope. I want progress. Hope is cute. Hope is okay, but I want progress. I want to see that I'm moving forward. And that's, I think, something that I want you guys to take from here. Like, if you've been through a situation and you've solved it, the residue of that should show in the next situation.